And my guest, and she's on every month, is Mary O'Sullivan. She's the owner of Encore Executive and Professional Coaching. She's has 30 years of corporate experience, and she is certified as a coach. And we are going to talk with her really a lot about what we've been hearing in the news, and I'm going to try not to talk about that too much, but as a way of discussion in terms of how do we deal with issues that we think maybe shouldn't be happening anymore, but they still do in the workplace. And again, I want to tell you a little bit more about Mary. She has a Master's of Science in Organizational Leadership. She's a member of the International Coach Federation, and she's been honored with advanced from the International Honor Society, and also has advanced education. So she holds a certificate in Raytheon Six Sigma as well. So Mary's been in the corporate world for many, many years, and then decided to help people who are in transition in their work and in their jobs, both men and women. And she's really helping people get back into the workforce or solve their problems in the workplace. You know, if you're having difficulties personally or professionally in the workplace, or personally getting back into the workplace, Mary really does help you. And this segment is brought to you by Encore Executive and Professional Coaching. Welcome, Mary.
Hi, Patricia.
Hi. I know we're going to have you in the studio momentarily, but you know, I want to bring this up, and I'm going to be very try to be careful in my wording here. Since It looks like I'm not talking to anybody, right? Except for the people in the studio, but I have a feeling I'm talking to more than one. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. For those of us who've been listening to the news, and I sure have,
right,
and listening to the fallout with what's happened with basically, I mean, behavior towards women. Aggressive behavior, whether it's groping, whether it's whatever it is, it's inappropriate, unacceptable behavior. And the thing I wanted to talk to you about here, and I think it's very relevant, is that a lot of these women, this happened, 20, 30 years ago, and, you know, they didn't come forward. And it was interesting because I was having dinner with a friend last night, who's actually a supporter of the platform in general.
Okay.
But her comment to me was, look, this stuff happened to me was in my 20s. You know, I was in an elevator with a guy, and he, you know, came on to me. She said, this has happened to me, but I didn't say anything. And then she added, but if it were today, I certainly would have immediately. So I guess having said that, if it were today, fast forward the 30 years, you know, where are we now? Are these things happening to women now? Do we have more recourse? Are we having more civil discourse about it? And is it better for us? And what can we do about it? Loaded for you, Mary. Loaded, my dear.
Okay, so let's just say that I get a client in my office that has been a victim of sexual harassment.
Okay.
So the very first thing that I would ask the person is that, did they right off the bat say, I'm not interested, this is unwanted? Because the unwanted part is really, really critical. It has to be stated that it is an unwelcome and unwanted advances or touching or invading of...
So wait a minute. So you're saying that woman should say that to the offender, to the man, should say that right up front?
Say it immediately. Immediately. It has to come out as, this is something that I do not want.
Okay, wait a minute. What about the fear factor? This person, you know, you need this job, and this person is your superior, is your boss. Okay,
so there is nothing wrong with telling any man, it doesn't matter who it is, that you are not appreciative and that you do not want sexual advances. It doesn't matter at what stage, whether you've already dated the person, but if you do not want the attention, and this goes for both sexes, because there are cases of men being sexually harassed by women as well, believe it or not. But for anybody in the workplace who's receiving unwelcomed and unwanted advances of any kind, they definitely have to state that it's unwanted. Because if they state any other way, it can be construed as consensual.
Interesting. And what happens, Mary, if they do just what you said? Please, this is unwanted by me, right? Exactly. And the person does not listen, then what?
Okay, so what happens then is that on their own, independently, the person who's being offended has to find out what their company policy is if they are working in a company. They have to find out what the policy is, because every company has a different policy. Now, most companies, if it's over 50 people, are governed by Title VII, which is the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And there are very clear-cut rules regarding unwanted sexual advances. So it's against the law, basically. But they have to find out what the company policy is. Because if the company policy is vague, they're going to have a little bit of trouble proving their case. So before they do anything else, get a lawyer or complain, they need to know the policy. Now, every company has a slightly different culture regarding harassment. So they may, even if you complain, they may do nothing. Even if you get a lawyer, they may do nothing. So the best thing for you to do is to try to protect yourself by making sure that you know the company policy and that you begin to document the harassment right away. Now, this is very difficult for people to do because there is a tremendous fear factor involved.
And Mary, should that person tell someone immediately?
Yes.
Okay.
There should be somebody else that knows about it, and regardless, it doesn't matter who it is, really. Most cases, it's your immediate supervisor, but I know personally of cases where the immediate supervisor has not taken action, and so the behavior has continued. And it's very interesting because you have to be aware of what consists of harassment. So obviously the touching, the unwanted advances, unwanted comments, but also offensive pictures, offensive language, all of those things are covered under the law.
Okay. So should that person think about getting an attorney?
They can consider that, but they have to be careful because particularly in large companies, they will find a way to turn the tables against you.
All right.
Most big companies don't want a $10 million sexual harassment lawsuit.
Right.
And there is not a very good track record. You have to understand what you're getting into whenever you find a new job. You have to understand the policies, the culture, and the atmosphere in the office.
And this segment is brought to you by Encore Executive and Professional Coaching. And my guest is Mary O'Sullivan, and she is an executive and professional coach in Rhode Island with 30 years of corporate experience. And today we're, because of the news, we are really talking about inappropriate behavior in the workplace and also, in other places as well. But Mary, being an executive coach, deals with this, and she deals with many other things as well, health and wellness and well-being, so that you can, that you can enjoy your life both personally and professionally. And she'll be sharing more of that with you. But the subject at hand here is, we've heard from women with these accusations of inappropriate behavior, and we know from whom, so we don't even have to mention the name, one of our candidates. But the question is, that was 30 years ago, and so would they behave the same way today? And that's what we're talking to Mary about is, what do you do today? If that happens. And I think it's a wake-up call. I think it's a wake-up call for men. I think it's a wake-up call for all of us. I mean, we're becoming, the good news is, if there is good news here, that it certainly is, it's a wake-up call. And I do try to look at the silver lining. What we've been talking about with Mary is how do you handle any issues that you have in the workplace with inappropriate behavior, whether you're a man or a woman. I mean, obviously, we've been certainly hearing from women in this case, but anything with men as well. And we've got Mary back on the line with us, so we will go to Mary right now. Hello, Mary.
Hello.
Okay, I thought we were going to have you right here next to me, but that is okay. We are right here. So let's just continue this. And so the question is then, I'm sure you've coached people, women and men, but more women probably with this issue. And you gave us some ideas of what to do, but what else would you like to say about, being able to handle this kind of behavior in the workplace? And you do coach around this as well as many other things in the workplace and beyond.
Right. Well, people have to be strong. People have to send out the message that they're not to be messed with. Everybody's got to understand that. You send out a certain signal, I think, sometimes, and I'm certainly not blaming the victim, but occasionally we women don't present ourselves as strong and confident, and I think that targets us more or less for, people trying to take advantage of us. And that's a problem. That can be a huge problem with unwanted advances, because you might not be expecting it, and there it is when you least expect it.
So what are some things that you'd like our listeners to know, not just on that topic, but in general, in terms of, folks that come to you who are really, having relationship issues, whether it's in the workplace or whether it's from home to workplace? What would you say?
With relationship issues, they can be extremely complex, just like work issues. So I always try to make sure that the client is very clear on what it is that they want. And that's extremely important, because a lot of people think they know what they want, but they really don't know what they want. And that takes some time, particularly for women, to figure out. Truly, if you ask a man, what does he really want? He comes up with the answer pretty darn quickly, I have to say. Maybe he isn't doing what he wants, but he knows what he wants more often than not. With women, they have to think long and hard about what they really want. Mm-hmm. And then it's a matter of peeling back all those layers, all those issues of pleasing everybody else and putting themselves last. Yeah. So for women, my advice is you really need to get clear on what you wanted. And like I said a couple of weeks ago in my workshop, when we were all growing up and we were kids, little kids, like maybe second, third, fourth grade, we knew what we wanted. We had a vision of what our future was supposed to be, right?
Yes.
And all of that sort of gets clouded as we get older and we take on responsibilities and we start to really stifle what we want and we forget what we want. Mm-hmm. And when I've pressed some people, particularly women, on what they really wanted, I have had them break down in tears in my office because they haven't thought about themselves. They haven't thought about what's important to them.
So
and it's difficult.
Do you think it's different than it was 20, 30 years ago? You think it's different in some ways, but not others?
Yes, I think it's different, and I'll tell you the reason why. The reason why is that 20 or 30 years ago, there was much more clearly defined role for women. Now, there's a lot of struggle with women's roles. We're trying to wear a lot of different hats. And the thing is now that the world has really changed. So we have a lot of struggles around, do we stay home with the kids? Do we invest more in our careers? What are we supposed to do? Well, you think about it, and now the world for kids has changed so much with preschool and daycare. Those things have evolved. They're not just warehouses for kids now. They enjoy so many different experiences with daycare That now I had a client who was a mother in my office recently. What it boiled down to, she began to realize that her want to be a mom conflicted with the kids' want and need to have world experiences that she really wasn't equipped to handle and was not equipped to have her kids be around, 10 or 15 other children.
Right. So let me capsule this. Let me capsule this. We've got about 5 minutes, Mary, and here's what I'm thinking. From everything you're saying, what I'm getting is what you do when you're with a client is they come to you with some kind of conflict, and it sounds like it comes from some kind of deep belief. As you said, like, here's the woman who really wants to be a mom and isn't thrilled if the kid is too independent, right? Or, really wants to be the good employee and the good woman and doesn't know how to handle the advance. I mean, in other words, there's some deep belief there. And so what you do as a coach is you help people uncover that without going back to their history of when they were 2 years old, right? For the most part.
Yeah.
And cover that and be able to say, okay, here's where I'm stuck. Because this is what I want. But how am I going to reconcile that? I want to be the good mom, but I also want my kid to fly. And I don't want to hurt that. Or I want to be a good employee and I want to show I'm loyal, but I can't accept this behavior that's being thrust upon me, with no pun intended. Right? So I think
that's a very good point, because it's all future focused. Coaching is all future focused.
Right.
It's focused on what do you want and how do you want to get it, based on planning to take steps to improve your future.
Right.
That's what it's all about.
All right. Tell people how they can find you. I know you have complimentary coaching sessions, so talk about that for a minute with our audience.
I do. Well, they can find me right now careening around Route 114. However,
that's all right.
However, my phone number is 401-742-1965, and I do give complimentary 30-minute sessions, and I'll be happy to fit you into my schedule. My website is encoreexecutivecoaching.com, and you can peruse the website. My podcasts are all on the website, and my videos are all there, a lot of blogs.
Yep.
And my office is in the Lafayette Mill at 650 Penrod Road.
Right.
And I just moved to a new office space within that mill, and it's much bigger, so we won't feel like we're in a closet coaching together.
Which is
great. And I'm really looking forward to giving that complimentary.
And it could be any issue. It could be, I'm not as far as I want to be in my work, or I'm having a personal or professional conflict. Something that's stopping you, right, Mary, from, as you say, from being hassled to happy. That's your title.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Exactly right.
All right.
Exactly right. Leadership issues, relationship issues, promotion issues.
Okay.
You name it, I can help with it.
All right. Give us your phone number and the website.
My phone number is 401-742-1965, and that is a direct line to me. There is no gatekeeper. I answer the phone myself. And my website is www.encoreexecutivecoaching.com. And everybody listening to the show is entitled to a complimentary 30-minute session. And I look forward to scheduling that with all Patricia's listeners.
All right. And again, go to the website, encoreexecutivecoaching.com. And one more time on the phone number. 401-742-1965. All right. Or write to me, Patricia, patriciaraskin.com. This program's been brought to you by Encore Executive Coaching. Thank you so much, Mary. It's been delightful.